before we even actually ended up with our first couple, I'm like, I'm kind of afraid that we're going to get into this and I'm going to be so comfortable and I'm going to be so into it right away that you're going to look at me and say, who the hell are you?
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy approach to non-monogamy. However, it's important to remember that everyone does it a little bit differently, and the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please be aware that we aren't doctors or therapists. Consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 74. We're Finn and Emma, and today we have an interview with Suzie and Jay.
Yes.
It's a fun one. I'm excited.
We actually met them because they joined Cassidy using the links on our profile.
Yes.
Not our profile, on our website.
On our website.
So we started chatting with them on there, and then one thing led to another. We chatted on Kick for a bit, and then bada bing, bada boom.
They're on the show.
So they've been married about a decade. They've got some kids. They'll tell you their whole story, but I think it's tons of awesome information in here about a lot of different things. They've only been exploring the lifestyle for less than a year now, but it's
almost been a year, I think.
They've had some awesome experiences, and I think everyone will get quite a bit out of it.
Yes.
I also wanted to say, if this is your first ever episode, maybe make some bad jokes.
You do? That's unheard of.
So don't judge me totally by this episode. Come back next week and try again.
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily bad jokes. You make some immature jokes.
I do. I do. So that's all we need to say about that.
Yeah.
A couple of announcements.
First off.
Oh, yeah. There's one more announcement. I know we already mentioned Cassidy. I kind of dogged on them a little in this episode. I made fun of them.
You were on your top form on this episode.
I stand by my criticisms, but I just wanted to say, and we wanted to say, but I'm going to say it because that's how.
Just keep talking.
Because I get started. So we've talked about, we've interviewed the founders of #Open. We've interviewed the founders of Polyfinda, and we've interviewed the founders of Cassidy. And again, they're all good resources for looking for other people in the non-monogamy space, and we recommend them all. And I think the thing is, there's a dozen other websites out there. We could mention them all, and we've probably mentioned them all throughout all of our episodes. I think the key takeaway here is find what one works best for you, try them out, and just see what's going to work for you. They're regional. Some are people like one better than the other. So the only point there is, if you want to give Cassidy a try, you can do it for 6 months free.
Using the links on our webpage.
Yeah. So again, I don't care which one you use. Find the one that works best for you. We use that one. We've also tried some other ones. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Go meet some awesome people.
We'll put links to everything in our show notes as well. And all the interviews for those people. Okay.
I'll let you talk for a while. I need to go take a rest.
Couple of announcements before we jump into the interview. The first one, this Thursday, July 18th, will be the first call Q&A session with our Patreon supporters. So
video Q&A.
Yep, video Q&A. It'll be
live.
9 p.m. Eastern. I thought you weren't talking. But
if I only say one word at a time, it doesn't count.
Okay. 9 p.m. Eastern, Thursday, July 18th. If you want to join, go to our Patreon page and you can join for just $2 a month.
Am I allowed to say one thing?
Yes.
If the 9 p.m. time slot doesn't work for you,
yes,
or Thursdays don't work for you, we're going to try and mix up the day and time and shift it around
every month
to make it so it's accessible. Maybe you don't make it this month, but next month you can. So yeah. I'm going back into hibernation.
We will be shifting the time and day of each call each month. The other announcement is on August 10th, we will be at the foam party for Club Euphoria in Findlay, Ohio. So if anyone is near that area, or even if you're not and want to join in the party, come join. It'll be a fun time. We're super excited to go check out Club Euphoria and meet Ray and Dee. We actually interviewed Ray and Dee on episode 14, if you also want to go back and check out that interview. I think that's it.
Unless you haven't gotten enough of me talking, you can go. We were just on an episode with Sex Uninterrupted.
Yes, that's very true.
On their podcast, and we were talking about the super sexy topic of money.
Yes, we were.
I'll never talk like that again. I'm sorry. All right.
But go check out their feed if you want to see that interview and discussion.
Yep. Other than that, go to our website and you're able to see photos of previous guests and current guests, i.e. Suzie and Jay. Our website is normalizingnonmonogamy.com, and we're on Twitter and Instagram at NNM Podcast. And yeah, thank you for everybody. Thank you to everybody for all your support. And let's go hear what Suzie and Jay have to say. I promise I let them talk more than I let Emma talk. I don't know why. What's happening?
I don't know. Enjoy this interview, everyone.
Also, hold on, one other thing.
Gosh.
I wanted to say, this is something that bothered me that I wanted to make sure that people know.
Okay.
I ask a lot of the questions compared to you sometimes.
Some interviews, yes, you do.
The thing that you don't hear happening is I edit out these pieces where I'm like, do you have any questions? And you're like, I think I had one, but you go ahead.
That is not always true.
I didn't say it was always true.
Sometimes you get on a roll and I just let you go and then I jump in with another question or a comment.
I know, I'm not saying it was always true. I'm just saying
occasionally, yes.
Sometimes my deferral for questions gets edited out. So I do offer often.
Well, and I chime in often.
I don't. I'm just saying I'm not a total dickhead.
No. Okay, you're not.
Partial.
But when you're on a roll, I let you go, and then I chime in with other questions when I can and when I want to.
Wow, you're amazing.
Yeah, clearly.
This was just me trying to say I'm not a total ass.
Yeah, and then you come through with that. Okay.
All right.
Are they ready now?
I think they're ready. They're probably gone now.
I know. I'm afraid to start this now that you're going to interrupt me again. Okay, go everyone.
Let's jump right in. We have
Jay.
You go. We'll edit that out. We won't. So Jay and Suzie, welcome to the podcast. First time ever meeting or talking. We've never interacted at all, for sure.
This is exciting.
That fell flat, hun. Sorry.
Anyway, so because we know a little bit about you, but not everybody does, do you mind sharing like rough biographical background for each of you, and then we can jump into why you're on our show?
Sure. Suzie.
I'm Suzie. I'm 40. We're from the Pacific Northwest. And I've lived here all my life. Yep. And I guess I consider myself bi-comfortable. Is that the term?
It is. Jay, I'm 43, Pacific Northwest, obviously, with Suzie. Moved here just about 20 years ago. And we met just about 12 years ago. I was actually married before, just about 9 years. But we met 12 years ago and have been married for 10 years.
Blind date that was meant to be. So.
And I am straight.
Mm-hmm.
Comfortably.
Yeah.
Very comfortably. Thank you.
That's okay. We don't judge.
Sometimes uncomfortably.
And based on the list of birthdays behind you on the wall and the pictures of all these young children, we assume those are yours, not just creepy.
Correct.
Just the neighbor ones. We
have 2 kids.
2 kids and a dog.
Perfect.
House, garden. Yep, all that.
That would be creepy if all the pictures were taken like through a window with like a really long lens. Like, oh, those are the neighbor kids.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah, we are parents who, yes, have kids and try and also have this other life that we
So
enjoy.
what does your non-monogamy look like?
Well, we consider ourselves swingers, I guess, friends with benefits. We don't have separate, we do not play separately, I guess, as far as like he doesn't have a separate girlfriend. I don't have a separate boyfriend. Our ideal situation is a foursome or a six or a, you know.
More.
or a moresome, yes.
Yeah. So we've been in this lifestyle since November of last year. So what are we going on? Just about
7
months?
8 months,
6
yeah.
months.
Wow.
I guess we're newbies until we hit that year mark, and then we get a...
I think it's an experience-based leveling up. I don't think it's a timeline. So I think you just have to hit certain marks before.
We've been busy. couple gold stars.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah.
So had it ever come up, and you said you've been together, married 10 years, right?
10 years.
So how had it come up before, though? Like, it's only been a year, not even a year.
Before I met Jay, I had been a unicorn. So I was in the lifestyle before I even knew that was a thing. I had sought it out through Craigslist, God help me, and it was just something I wanted to give a try, and I met this couple and gave it a go, and it was super fun, but they were looking for an actual girlfriend to have as part of their family, and I was still young and wanted to get married and do that whole thing on my own, and it was soft only, and it was never going to be anymore, so no P in my V, so to speak, ever, and
Their rules are yours.
Theirs.
Okay. And you wanted some P in your V?
Yes.
She really needs the P in her V.
I really do.
Also, to clarify, you said that was when you were young. For all the 40-year-old listeners, I think you're still young.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that was, and so, yeah, I guess then we've always kind of like hinted at it. It's always been part of our like sort of naughty talk, you know, of like, oh, it'd be fun to have.
Yeah. That's it.
So was that your only experience? Was that one other couple?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess, Jay, when you found out, like, did that come up early on when you two were getting to know each other? Or was it like, oh, hey, surprise, this is a thing I did?
I don't think it came up very early in the relationship, but I'm not quite sure how I heard about that. Obviously to me it was exciting and was, an amazing experience, but we never really touched too much more on it, and we weren't looking for and aren't looking for a threesome. We always look for couples. So within the past, going back about a year and a half, it was always bedroom talk of, hey, wouldn't this be amazing? Let's do this and talk about that. And then really come, October, November.
I had said, okay, for my 40th, we'll do a threesome. And I never thought it would have really happened, because where would we find someone? Like, I thought that's just crazy. Craigslist was no more, right? Like, that's all not a thing anymore. And I just thought that's just crazy. And I'll just use it as bedroom talk to get things going. And we're never going to find anybody.
The story.
Is this?
I can picture it like it was yesterday.
He knows exactly the moment and the day and the hour. I said, go for it.
We were meeting some friends at a restaurant, and we got there early. And out of the blue, you said, for my 40th, I'd like to do a threesome. So in the middle of this restaurant, we're sitting at the bar. Obviously you tell your spouse or significant other you want to have a threesome. I wanted to get up and knock young kids down the way and run out the door and try to make this happen. So obviously it was a very long dinner until I could get home and jump on the internet and find out exactly how to do this.
Yeah.
And then how impossible it really can be if you're...
And it was never going to be a guy or a girl. It was just...
Somebody.
We hadn't... Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it was just that thought of, and so...
And it's really not that impossible.
No, I was like, you're
I know now, guys. Like, I obviously...
I ran home and, jumped on the internet and, you obviously Google things and went to Reddit. And, I came up with, this is the best website to look at for our area, which was SLS website. So I signed up probably, I don't know if it was that night or the next day or what. We created a profile, and Suzie still, wasn't really super involved, just didn't quite know what was going on.
Yeah. I was like, I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I'll look at that later. Okay. Yeah.
You didn't really believe that was actually happening. Yeah.
I was busy with work at the time, and he just kept saying, we got to sit down and look at this. We got to sit down and look at this. And I was like, you can fill out the profile. It's still thinking in my head. I didn't know that it was couples. I didn't know that that was a thing.
Yeah.
And
so then after looking at that website and some couples reaching out, obviously, the level of excitement goes up, and we joined, we met a very nice couple who run a Kik group that we're part of. So it's local people in our area, closed group. They post, pictures and talk about experiences, and it's very sexy and naughty. After some of the conversations on there, we realized that Cassidy really is a lot better website, not only for our area, just the way it's run and everything. It's like going from AOL to Google. It's night and day.
I would say AOL to Yahoo, maybe is a better description.
So we signed up for Cassidy. So now we're on both websites because, of course, when I signed up for SLS, I signed up for an entire year because we were going to jump right in. So
and we did jump right in. Yeah, we met a really nice couple that was very good to us, and we, had our
first couple,
first experience with them, and it was awesome. And we just decided pretty quickly right away that this was for us.
Yeah, and I was backing up a little. Just you said something, Jay, that when you found out that she had been a unicorn, you were like, well, obviously that was really exciting for me, but I think not everybody would react that way, right? Like it'd be pretty easy to be caught off guard and be worried that was now going to impact your relationship, right?
Or jealous
or any of those things. And I guess then looking forward, like when you started to explore this, were there any fears that either of you had about getting into it and opening this up?
So I remember telling him before we even actually ended up with our first couple, I'm like, I'm kind of afraid that we're going to get into this and I'm going to be so comfortable and I'm going to be so into it right away that you're going to look at me and say, who the hell are you? And he was like, I don't think so. And that was not, it was not for both of us. It was very comfortable immediately.
So Finn, to answer your question, so we have just always had a great open relationship and there's never been any jealousy. I wish I could say that with my previous marriage, but no. We have always been so open and communicative that we just get along. And fast forward to what Suzie was saying, our first experience in every experience since, we walk away, saying, hey, was there anything, what was good, what was bad? And the one thing that's been in common during the whole experience is we've never had any jealousy. And we've quickly learned when we share that tidbit with some couples, that really puts them off.
We had a couple that when we said we haven't had any jealousy, we hadn't considered that this would be a thing, but they were kind of concerned that we didn't have that aspect.
You must not love each other enough if you're not jealous.
Right. We must be in this for separate things, and we must be in this for, like to be separate place, separate room, for individual relationships. And we hadn't considered that could be how it would come off. And so we've kind of had to look at that. We've had jealousy within, not jealousy in the picture of like
you and I, we've had jealousy between the couples.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but we've never had jealousy with each other, and that's the one thing that surprised us. Really is.
In fact, we didn't even watch each other the first time. We came back later, and I'm like, I don't even think I looked over at you guys, and he's like, me either. I'm so sorry. So we made a point of like trying.
I guess we'll have to do it again.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And
but then you get to dirty talk and tell the other person what happened, even though you're in the same room. You don't know.
Yeah, it was fun, and it wasn't that we weren't into what the other was doing. We were just kind of very, it's very overwhelming in the beginning.
Yeah.
So take us back to that first. Like you said, you met a couple that was really good to you. I think that's a euphemism in a few different ways, but like I guess
there's some responsibility of taking on newbies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so many questions and there's so many things that we just didn't know. And we had found podcasts, but they really just opened the door to us and were pinpointing different episodes within different podcasts. And they answered everything for us that we possibly had. And they were like, well, what were your concerns? And about our, what are your concerns about our night together coming up? Because we were planning for it. And I was like, well, what am I wearing? What's the lighting like? Is there music? Like that was where my head was at. Like, it was about those sort of like,
So really, I mean, the way that we started with them, and really, I think everybody is, we like to converse with them on Kik. That's quickly become one of our rules is either Kik or text. The other couple both have to have a account,
individual account.
And we've been burned a couple times in the past few months of the couples that share accounts, and it's too confusing, and you can't hear the other person's personality or even know if they even exist. And we have a funny story on that real quick. We met a couple. I know I'm jumping all around. I apologize.
No. Funny stories are always good.
We met a couple right at the beginning. I think it was
early on.
Within the first few weeks. Yeah. They shared an account.
So we never knew who we were talking to.
Yeah. We went on a date just to meet, and kind of that's our MO. We like to
meet for drinks,
talk on Kik, then meet for drinks, and then we all kind of go back home and decide, do we want to meet again? So we met this couple, sat down, and he, which I think was running the account, was extremely quiet and not engaged at all. And she was
amazing,
so fun and so interactive, and we're like, okay, this could be really cool.
This could be cool. Maybe he'll open up a little more.
See where it goes. Yeah. And we're chatting, and the first thing we came up with is, hey, what are your rules? Let's kind of get this out in the open. And I started out with, are you guys okay with kissing? And she was like, oh, absolutely, it's the greatest thing ever. And then she looks over at him, and he's like, no. And then right there is major red flag. We're thinking, okay,
you haven't discussed kissing?
That's pretty like basic.
Wow.
So yeah, we realized pretty quickly then in just discussions with them about everything and anything else, they just hadn't. They had no.
They were not on the same page.
No conversations.
And they were new as well, and yeah, I mean, we just quickly discovered that they need to talk first, and they need to work that out before we get involved.
We encouraged that. We gave them a bunch of different podcasts to listen to and a bunch of different, resources and things that we'd come across. And we never ended up taking it any further than that. But it was just a reminder for us that we needed to kind of consider what it means to have a 4-way Kik conversation going.
Yeah.
But to go back to our first date, so we went out with them for drinks on nights, and probably a week prior before we actually got together. It was we had great conversation. They were an amazing couple. They understood that we were new, kind of talked through some things, and we walked away all feeling good and decided to see each other either the next weekend or the weekend after. So we had planned, we had gotten a hotel downtown, went out for dinner, went back to the hotel and
played some dorky game.
So I think it was Swinger Jenga.
Was it?
It was.
That's not a dorky game, okay?
No, you know what it was? We should have altered it beforehand because it had a bunch of we should have made it a little more personal, maybe.
Yeah.
So here's my quick interjection on Swinger Jenga, because
we have tried it. Well, we have one that we made a long time ago.
So the trick is this: rather than write stuff on the blocks, you just number the blocks.
Oh, that's what we played.
And then each time you do it, the 4 people who are going to play can write their own list, and then it's tailored to whatever level.
Just pull a list off of Reddit, and a lot of them we just were kind of like, well, that's silly.
Yeah.
So we wanted it to be a little bit more comfortable, but it got us to the goal, guys.
Yeah.
So
it's a good icebreaker.
I mean, we all ended up naked. So
we ended up naked. We all played. I mean, we were in the same room, and it was great. We were on the same bed, but walking away, I didn't really watch you that much, and I'm kind of disappointed I didn't. I had fun with her, you had fun with him, but really as a group we didn't watch each other.
Yeah.
And we quickly learned that that's something that we really like. Is I like when Suzie is happy and into it. I mean that turns me on.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you go right to full swap?
So funny thing.
We've only ever been full swap. We've never been a soft swap couple.
Other than the Craigslist unicorn experience.
Oh, well, that's true. Oh!
We didn't think about that.
Good point, guys. Okay. Yes, other than that, we've only ever...
And as a couple, we've only ever full swapped. And not that we were only looking for that. It just happened to be that
we have kids.
We've never done that.
We have kids. We are super busy. It's going to sound maybe terrible, but we have a limited amount of time. And that's why we tend to schedule, just a drink, get together, see how we're doing, chat a lot, get some of that stuff out and decide, because if we're going to get together, it's probably going to go down.
Yeah, well, and I think so. So two things you said there. One is you do. I said do.
You're off today.
You typically have a pre-screen meet, right? Like you'll go out, have drinks, and nothing happens that first time.
Yes.
And then if you're going to meet up again, then it's time for the party to happen. I think we've seen it on people's profiles where they cut out that first step and they say exactly what you said, which can be a little intimidating, which is like, well, we have kids and we're busy. So if we're going to see you, it's going to happen. But I think you adding that, like, hey, we're going to meet once and then the second, like, I think that takes it down a level of like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And also, like, especially now, because we've had, some time since we started this, like, we want to walk away from that first date saying, like, fuck yeah, we are totally into them. We want to do this. And if we walk away and we're kind of like, they're cool and they're super nice, but I'm not feeling that vibe, then we have that option to just be like, okay, we love this part of our relationship and this part of our marriage, but we don't need it in the sense of like, I got to book this weekend. I got to have somebody for Friday. we got to have somebody for Saturday. It's just not, we are looking for friends out of this. One of the benefits that, we will sing from the rooftops about this is we've met just some amazing people. We have people that we consider our besties. Yeah. Look at you. I mean, we met you guys. So, hey, we have some besties from it that we just have integrated into our life in a really major and complete way. And so we guess we aren't DTF.
No, I don't think we're DTF.
We're not DTF.
Well, and you also, it sounds like you realize that it's basically an infinite resource in terms of like, yeah, in some cities there's only that many people in that town, but like I don't think that's a reason to be like, well, there's only 7 couples within a 200-mile radius, so we got to do it with one of them. Like you don't.
No.
Well, and if you're patient, then you find the right people and you end up having better experiences than when you're impatient and trying to rush through things and then it just turns out to be a disaster.
And we don't want to be uncomfortable. We also have agreed that we are not going to, and I don't like the phrase, but neither one of us are ever going to take one for the team. Mm-hmm. We got into a situation kind of early on where we'd met a couple. We went for dinner and it went well, but I was not super excited and into him, but they were very nice and very cool to hang out with. And after dinner, we were like, hey, let's go to another bar, that's fine. We could do that, except it was also a strip club. And so the vibe was different and we all started kind of making out, which PS you're not supposed to do at a strip club. Kind of comfortable for that.
Really?
And so then afterwards there was kind of everybody thought everybody was totally into it. And we booked our next, our play date, so to speak. And as we got closer, I was just like, I wasn't feeling it. And I waited too long to pull the plug.
Yeah. I mean, we scheduled it. We were both busy, so we scheduled the next date to go out and actually play a month later. So there was a month of build up and conversations and texting and
he was
pictures.
He was so very into her, and that excited me. And so I was trying to kind of think that I could just roll with it and run with it. And then we had another couple. Another LS couple that had messaged us one night and they were like, we had a terrible experience tonight. The girl totally wasn't into me and it was super awkward and, we were all naked and it was just terrible. And I had this epiphany of like, oh my God, I don't want to be naked and make that decision, which you can totally do.
Yeah.
Absolutely at any point. But I thought I've got to pull the plug.
Right.
So it was hard, but.
I mean, we pulled the plug. I mean, we waited for a month and
like 2 days prior.
2 days prior to meeting them, we pulled the plug and I mean that's probably the shittiest part.
I don't want to be an asshole, like
letting down people and if you're not into somebody, pulling the plug early enough. It's very difficult for us. I mean, we not very long ago we chatted with a couple and we had a discussion afterwards and they said some things that kind of were just a couple red flags and we're like, okay, let's just stop the conversation now. Be honest with them. End it, this is what's going on. And I think that's really the way to go. And we've gotten better about that since the beginning.
This doesn't serve anyone to fake it.
Well, and honestly, I mean, you're only 7 months into this and you've come to a realization that takes some people years and some people never even figure this out. So congratulations.
Yeah.
So going into that first night, went right to the full swap. It sounds like you had pretty lax
Rules?
Were there any rules going in there? Or...
We did have rules, Al.
Yeah,
we did have rules, Suzie.
We did. We want, of course, protection for us. We and it wanted to be same room. And that was. Is there more?
There may have been more.
There may have been more.
Those were the major ones.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain things I don't like done to me.
Oh yeah, he does not want a finger in his butt.
No.
Not everybody has always followed that rule for him, so that's been.
Yeah.
When I say he's sometimes
strange.
That's when.
I feel like that's yeah. I mean, I think a lot of guys do like that, but I also feel like that's one of those things that, like, before you do it, you usually, I mean, you should ask for most things.
You should ask for
but
everything.
I feel like that's one that's probably a good one to get permission for.
Yeah. We've been with a couple where she knew that about him, and she kind of took it on as her own personal challenge. As I'm going to get it in there, and he's going to love it, and
I wanted to jump out the window.
But you couldn't because she was holding on.
Exactly. Yeah, she was fish hooking me.
Yeah. That's inappropriate.
And so now, like, fast forward 7 months, our rules have shifted, and it's not the same. We have different levels of relationships with the different couples that we are involved in. And so we'll do separate room. We will do separate play, dependent upon the situation and the couple. It's not something that we are, it's a trust thing, really, So, and it's been fun to have our besties and be able to be like, well, wouldn't it be fun to? And then,
I think we went into this thinking every time would be a one and done. And that's really not what it morphed into. Is the majority of the people that we've been with, or, we've established relationships. I mean, besides our bestie couple, there's another local couple that we've gone to play dates with their kids. We've gone over there for barbecues and dinners. Mm-hmm. So we've done plenty of non-LS stuff with LS people.
Yeah.
Which has been amazing.
How has, so that was sort of how you thought you would get into it, was just one and done. I mean, how has it shifted? You kind of talked a little bit about it there, but how has your dynamic shifted from 7 months ago to today? What other types of realizations have come
we kind of ended up accidentally poly.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, back up. Who's this bestie couple? And explain that situation.
We found each other on Cassidy, and then discovered that they lived down the street. And we knew a lot of the same people, and we shared a lot of the same, I guess, stuff. And they have kids our age, and they enjoy all the same things we do. And it became very easy and very fun, very fast. We were all very attracted, and they are someone that we talk to every day, that we see
a few times a week. Not always in an LS sort of situation, but just we've integrated into their family and them into ours, and we vacation with them, and we go to games with them, and we gone to dinner with their family, and so on. So it's really become more of, I even hate to say poly, but it has poly-like qualities.
We very much care for each other.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. We all date. We still have other couples, obviously. So it's not an exclusive poly relationship, but
so it's extreme friends with benefits.
Extreme, yes. Friends plus.
So you said you hesitate to say poly. Is there a?
Because it's not because it's not great. I think it is great. It's just. And I don't like using this phrase either. It's not what we got into this for. We say that all the time, which has completely shifted and morphed. So I'm okay with this continuing to shift and morph. That just isn't what either couple wants to be exclusive. I think it's great for those that want to. And we could end up like that. I don't think that's what's going to happen.
But I think you could be polyamorous and not exclusive. I mean,
yes,
there's no...
Yes, much.
But also I think that the word poly scares some people.
Yeah.
If we were to go to a new couple and say, hey, by the way, we're poly with this other couple, I think that would be a turn off to some.
Could be. Yeah.
Right. Does it scare you too?
It doesn't scare us. Not with this couple.
No.
But I can see how it would scare somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's fair. I was just curious.
hey, Finn and Emma, we're poly, and I don't want you to think that we're trying to become poly with you, or maybe.
Right.
Or if they're new, it depends on the level of knowledge about it and the level of comfort they have within this lifestyle as well. So, it's
all part of the conversation, though, too.
It is.
I think so. Yes, we're continuously learning and growing within this. So
What are some of the ways that you've seen your relationship, just the two of you, grow or benefit from?
Gosh.
I mean, it's going to sound like a broken record because, we obviously listen to your podcast, and I think, every other couple says this, but our relationship is so much stronger now, and the communication is so strong. A great example, and one thing that we try to do is we have conversations with other couples, both singular and as a group, throughout the day. So the singular conversations, we'll go back at the end of the day and just recap what we talked about with the other person, to get to different perspectives and, what we liked and, what was sexy, what was not. And I think, that's exciting, and that's a great thing that we do at the end of the day, just because it not only makes us reconnect, but we keep, we keep track of what each other are doing, and we can build on that as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We like you said, it's broken record, but the communication is just great between the two of us. It's added to our conversation, not just in a sexy sort of way, but in just, these people have become part of our lives and an important part. And it's been a really fun way to evolve our relationship as well. And, Jay travels for work. And so we rely upon how well we communicate, or else we are just completely disconnected.
And when we go out with family or vanilla friends, our relationship was amazing before, but, we've had people say, wow, you guys are really connected and touchy-feely and really in love. And, I'd attribute that to the lifestyle.
I feel like we've always been that way, though.
We have, but I mean, if we were to get outed, I don't think anybody would be surprised, just because we're very affectionate.
Well, and I've kind of always been, I'm not super shy. I'm very forward sometimes, much to I worry about that I am too much sometimes. But he loves that about me and continuously tells me, nope, you be you, you go do you. And so I've always kind of been that girl in the group of women that will be like, what kind of vibrator do you have? And most women just are not always open to sharing stuff like that. And so the conversations have been, less deep and not super authentic. And I think that's what's been so amazing. And you'll hear this, of course, from many people, that our friendship pool has shifted dramatically in this, because there's something super authentic and wonderful about hanging out with another couple who's in the LS, because you can just talk about everything with all parts of that couple, right? Yes. Like, I don't text my vanilla girlfriend's husbands. I don't learn anything from them. We don't talk. The conversations are always very surfacey, and this has been a really cool way to feel like I'm really get to be me and just comfortable in my own sort of like out there self.
And talk about whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Are there people you have told about it?
No.
No.
No. I really would love to have. I guess our besties, that's what's been so great about them, is they have been people that we can talk to and communicate with about other stuff.
I mean, I think our biggest fear is we have young children, so we're in a small community. If it were to get out, I mean, I'm less concerned with how it would affect us and what people thought of us. I'm more concerned on if it got back to the children's school and all of a sudden
other parents would not trust us with their kids.
Yeah.
And that's not something that we would ever want. I would just never want to put that on my kids before they were old enough to really shoulder some of that, knowledge. Yeah. So
no, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Have there been any? I mean, it sounds like it's going very well for the first 7 months. Have there been any speed bumps that you've hit along the way?
Oh, well, sure. Early on into our relationship with our besties, another couple reached out to us. through Cassidy, and we realized that they were already friends with our besties. And so we asked them, our besties were like, is this cool if we, get to know them? And they were kind of like, yeah, okay. He was for it. She was like, I need to be okay with this. Like, go for it.
And just interject that they were from another town quite a ways away.
Yeah.
So they weren't local like our bestie couple.
Yeah. So we kind of knew going in, we're like, this is probably not going to be a good idea, but we really had hit it off. And so we thought, this is what we're in this for. This is what this is supposed to be about. We're supposed to meet people. And so we went for it. And so
it was magical up until a few days ago. We had a great relationship with this new couple.
And our besties.
Suzie and I texted separately with the husband and wife and as a group, and we had a great relationship and rapport, and we just clicked right away. And obviously, everything was still good with our besties, but fast forward to, we went to a event where all of us were going to be together, and there's discussion of a sixsome, and we've never all been together in the same room, and we didn't know what that chemistry would be like.
So when we talked about no jealousy beforehand, this is where that funny little thing pops up where I'm like, I don't have any jealousy when it comes to people with my husband. I'm excited. It excites me. I love seeing that dynamic. But when I saw our bestie guy touch the other girl, it did not sit well. And it did not sit well for others in the group either.
I mean, I think the consensus with the group was everybody had no jealousy within their individual couples, but everybody had some hesitation and reservations about other people touching other people.
Cross-mixing.
So what we learned throughout the night was this was not going to be a good idea.
Yeah.
And we all got back to the hotel room, and it kind of just went to shit. Everybody kind of went there. We didn't do anything, luckily, but everybody left the room feeling really bad, and there were tears, and it just was a bad situation. Fast forward a couple weeks, we went up to see this new couple in their hometown, had a great weekend, and come to find out later on, and the husband had been off with conversations with Suzie for a little while. Come to find out that the husband looked at the wife and my relationship as more intimate than what made him comfortable. So, I mean,
he called things off.
Yeah.
And it also solved the other problem of how the six of us were going to, they don't live here. And so the potential for a couple eventually being cut out was there. And they were, we were a potential for being cut out of the original group, and they were a potential, and it was kind of a threat. And this was kind of solving, by cutting this off, it was solving two problems. And it sucks, and it's been really hard because we really valued that relationship. And
I mean, we went into this with the rule that if either one of us is out at any time and needs to pull the plug, we need to support the other person, no matter what reason.
For whatever reason.
So I can't fault him for that.
Yeah.
Good for him for speaking up and pulling the plug. Not to say it's not a shitty situation, and I mean, it sucks all around, but I give him credit for doing that. I don't have to agree with it or like it, but we need to live with it and move on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, stuff comes up that you don't expect. And
drama. We don't want any gosh darn drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah. For sure. So you touched on something that came up in a previous episode with the couple from a few weeks ago, which was you have no jealousy issues between the two of you.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, if somebody's touching the other guy or the other woman, that triggers something.
What do you mean somebody's touching?
Like if there's like with the four of you, everything is perfect, no jealousy. But if there's a third party or fourth party that comes into what you've created, all of a sudden there's jealousy there. Do you mind talking a little bit about that? Because
sure.
This came up, this almost exact same feeling was spoken about a few weeks ago, which was. Yeah.
I don't
mean, I think the main thing is with this, we felt very strongly with these two couples. And we had a relationship, and things just clicked, and it was one of those special relationships that are a little bit different from the typical LS relationship.
I don't think about this, any of the guys that I am in a whatever relationship. I don't think about who else they text, who else they see, I don't think about it. I just think about my relationship with them. I don't think about that for the male or the female either. I don't want to sit and be like, well, is he sending the same picture to another girl? And is he, nope, I don't focus on that because I would drive myself batty. Right. I wasn't expecting that feeling. I wasn't expecting to see him touch her and go, oh God, like that's, because I hadn't really considered what their relationship would be like. I think more exposure to it maybe would have been fine. But we've been together for so long. We have this trust and we have this commitment. We don't have that same level we have a level of intimacy. We have a level of trust, but it's not at the same place. And so,
I mean, I think it was specific to those two couples because we've been to lifestyle clubs before, and there was, some group situations, and we're actually, another two couples that we've been with separately. We're trying to arrange a six-some with them, and there's no jealousy issues as the six of us go.
Okay.
With that particular couple, it was just these two couples we had such a strong bond with.
There's feelings involved, and that's
which is it's just fascinating, right? Because like if you take it down to the bare bones, which is something Jay, you said right at the beginning of this, your answer was like, oh well, these couples were a little bit more special than your standard lifestyle couple, right? But then if you back up and you say, well, okay, I married Suzie. Well, she's a little more special than any other woman I've ever met. And so it's really the same thing, but now all of a sudden it's I guess it's like, then you brought it to the trust.
I was just going to say, that's the difference. Yeah. They have 10 years of trust built up between them or longer than that.
Yep.
And your relationships with these other people don't have that time.
Yeah. No, I'm not arguing. I find it fascinating, and it's just you never know what it is, what's going to be.
It was unexpected.
Yeah,
it was unexpected the way we kind of sort of had this like gut turning, which I think maybe like if I think back to the beginning of our relationship, if I would have seen him touch another girl, I would have had the same reaction. Like, but wait, what about me? And that's
I'm not good enough.
Yeah, which is what where your brain goes.
Of course, yeah. Natural feeling.
So, I mean, in the end, I mean, honestly, it's probably for the best that we just remain friends with that new couple. And, just because we have such strong feelings with our besties, and I don't want to
jeopardize their relationship, the four of them, because they've been in, this, I guess, relationship for over a year. So they've been established, and we don't want to screw that up for them. And we don't want to screw our relationship with our besties up either. And it kind of was a problem that needed to be solved, and it did get solved. So,
yeah.
Lesson to be learned.
On the flip side, do you think within the two of you, if one of you came to the other and said, hey, look, this has been fun, but I think we should close our relationship back up, how do you see that conversation going?
We've talked about that, about if that conversation were to happen.
And we had that discussion not because either one of us wanted to. Yeah. It's we actually heard it on a podcast, and we sat down and said, okay, so what if? And I think what we came to was we obviously would support each other. I mean, our relationship is the most important thing. It's, it goes well beyond the LS. So I think we said both of us would get out of it, but
we both say, okay, but tell me more
with hesitation, and we would want to know why.
Yeah. We'd want to have a discussion about it just to see where it was coming from. Because obviously it would not just be a wake up one day and, flip the switch. But if that was where we were at, then we'd have to, we've got a pretty well-established life here, that we enjoy and love and would not want to jeopardize. So.
Right. Yeah, it's impossible to predict. I was just curious, like, what you thought. I don't know.
Yeah, we'd have to. We don't want to.
Yeah, we got into this for each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's exciting. We're living out some fantasies, but at the end of the day, you and I are the most important things, and not that piece of our relationship. So we absolutely can live without it. Yeah. We don't want to live without it. We're happy with it right now. I don't see us getting out of it anytime soon. I can say that our dynamic with finding new people has shifted. At the beginning, I mean, I'll be completely honest, it was pretty much a full-time job. I mean,
it really can be.
You get out of it what you put into it, and we were spending hours a day.
Well, looking and chatting and kicking out,
and hey, let's cast a wide net and go on as many dates as possible in hopes that we find that gem.
Yeah.
And since then we've gotten a lot more selective. We've slowed down quite a bit. We still go onto the websites and see what's out there, and we're part of a Kik group of local people, and we still chat with them, and so we still are ingrained in the dating pool, but it's nothing like what it was at the beginning.
We've shifted our mindset to, and maybe I already talked about this, but we want to meet a couple, and if we walk away and we talk about it, because that's usually what we do, I want to be like, fuck yeah, they are awesome. Like, I can't wait to see them again. They seem like super cool people. I want to get naked. If we walk away and we're like, you know what, they're cool, they're really nice, but I just wasn't feeling that vibe, we don't need this.
Yeah.
We don't need that in that way. That's like, okay, well, I don't have anybody for Friday, so who are we going to fill that slot with? No, like, we'd rather, have friends and with benefits than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and really, before we got into this, with young kids, we didn't go out that much. I would say we went out once every 3 months, maybe at best.
Oh, on our own?
Just you
to
and
the
I.
Movies? Yeah.
And, fast forward to now, either, vanilla LS or just straight LS. I mean, we're going out at least every other weekend, if not sooner. And
so
and
babysitting
really,
costs have gone up.
Oh guys. Oh my God.
We need to get a third job just to pay for that.
So I have a. Oh, go
we
ahead.
need clubs to have like an earlier start time.
Yes.
Like, for parents who don't want activities start at 11:30. Like, I got to get back and pay that sitter and send her home, man.
So I have a theory on this.
Okay.
Not even a theory, but a potential solution, because this is something we've heard other people have done in the past. Like, you now have this other couple that's in the lifestyle that you're good friends with. Your kids are somewhat friends, right? Would it ever be a solution to be like, this week we're going out and you can watch the kids overnight, and next week you go out and we'll watch the kids overnight?
So,
you guys can't see my face right now, but my reaction is, no.
Did you not just hear the jealousy story I told?
It's honestly just, if given the choice between our besties and anybody else, and anybody could get free time, we would go out with them in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Just
so
because
it's more they want to go out with them.
Yeah, I still think it's a valid solution.
Could you ever share a babysitter?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've had to get creative with finding places to play.
Yeah, we will put the kids to bed.
One side of the house.
And one side of the house, all the kids. And
wait until after midnight or 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning and go to the complete opposite end of the house and lock doors and so on. I mean, parents get creative.
We are what we call sensible swingers. We find a way. I'm going to trademark that. Nobody take that. We're sensible swingers. We will find a way. Like, we will go on vacations, and we will find ways on vacations to just make it happen. And it's been really fun.
So we've gone on a vacation not too long ago, a camping trip with them.
Because camping is the sexiest place for me. And we had a shower. It's fine.
And
that's a key. That's a key thing.
We did separate room.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess it's not even technically a room. So her and I took a nice ride on the ATV to a middle of a meadow in the middle of nowhere and did it. So that's the first time, the public, well, not even public, but just, nude in the middle of a meadow and separate from each other. And it was pretty exciting, but yeah, we got creative on how to make things happen.
And then we were in the trailer with the door locked, and everybody was outside later. But it was super fun, and it was something that we hadn't done. And what was great about it was coming back together later and talking about it and sharing all about what was exciting about it. And it's not something that we'd rather the four of us be together.
Yeah. I think we all talked, and it was very exciting.
Absolutely.
But the dynamic of the four of us in a room together is amazing.
Yeah.
So you're a same tent couple, if you prefer.
Yes, we are. We are a around the fire later that night foursome as well.
Dude, this is getting graphic.
Let me tell you,
that's why you have this disclaimer at the beginning of your podcast.
The four of us, by firelight was pretty fucking sexy. Yeah.
We took that 18-year-old out of our
Yeah, but it's still marked explicit, so we
your intro. Yeah.
We literally just redid the disclaimer for some episodes, or the episode that came out today. And
to shorten it because it was so fucking long.
Yeah.
But all right, so now I have a question. Then you've talked about some things you've done. What's the number one fantasy that each of you have crossed off the list, and the number one fantasy that's still on the list?
I wanted to do double penetration. Check. Checkity check. I've checked that off the list. We had a bunch of just really kind of funny, silly ones. It's been fun because we've been doing things that were not on the list that were like, oh, that should have been on the list, and also check. We've done that.
Well, example?
Just some of the vacation stuff, some of the separate stuff, some of the threesome stuff. We had an experience. I had an experience a week ago where he was out of town for work, and I ended up at our bestie's house, and we discussed it prior, but I was like, hey, I'm going to be over tonight. You're watching my kids because I had something to go to. Maybe when I get back, we could all...
I'm gonna stop you there and just take credit for this because who set this up?
Oh God, he set this up, guys. Totally. He did. You get credit for this. So. Yes, this is all you, because you brought it up and said, well, you're going to be over there, and they were kind of super shocked and excited and surprised, and it was awesome.
Yeah. In mine, really, I mean, again, I've checked off everything I wanted to accomplish. It sounds so cold.
All those goals.
Exactly. My goals.
# swinger goals. Yes.
In the lifestyle, I mean, I think if there's anything, and this sounds kind of tame, is really a LS vacation where we can get away and not have to worry about the kids, and really just have a end time. Today we always have to be back by a certain time for that babysitter, or we need to be back because, the kids are in bed and this is happening. So I think a long weekend or some kind of a mini vacation where we didn't have to worry about getting back, and we could just wake up naked next to somebody and
somebody's.
Yeah.
One of the things I say I want most in this is time. There's just always an end point for us with everyone. Like, we have to leave and go home, or leave and go do, whatever. There's just always an expiration to it. And so it would just be really nice to have a longer set, period where we weren't, okay, got to get home and get the kids. We've got school tomorrow. We've got this, whatever. It's just that element of time that's always ticking against you. So, which is exciting and fun. Not to say it can't be, but it would be.
I would say it sounds like it's also been fuel for some of the adventure as well. So.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I don't want to knock it because it's been we've found a way.
Yeah.
Very cool. What do you got? Don't make me ask all the questions. People think I'm a jerk.
No, they don't.
They like you more. They like you more than me.
No, they don't.
Most people.
Here, I'll give you a good one. So, for your sponsor, STDcheck.com, which everybody should go to.
Good job.
Thank you. We get tested regularly, and just recently, my primary care physician left, and I needed to go find somebody new. And I basically said, just give me an appointment with, male, female, new, old, doesn't matter, just get me in. And my appointment was at a hospital that was a Catholic hospital. I walk in and there's crucifixes everywhere and everybody's kind of holy-ish.
Does the priest do the... Never mind.
Yes, no. He blesses us on the way in. And so I go there, and the nurse checks me in, very sweet older lady. We go to the room. I'm having discussions about coaching kids, Little League baseball. We're talking about her grandkids. We're having this great rapport. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, when she leaves and the doctor comes in, I'm going to ask for a full panel, and I'm just going to pull the trigger on this. Right before the doctor comes in, this sweet old lady's like, hey, I'm going to stay in the room and take notes for the doctor since this is your first visit. And at that point, I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna pull the plug and not do this. So as we go through the exam, I got my nerves up again, and at the end, she asked, is there anything else? And I said, well, there is. Can you give me a full STD panel? And she said, oh, why? Because she saw that I was married. And I said, well, I don't feel comfortable. Can you just give me one? And she said, as your physician, I need to ask why, which I don't think you really can. But I said, well, my wife and I date other couples as couples. And the sweet old lady nurse who's taking notes just gets this look on her face, stops typing, doesn't say a word, and just leaves the room. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so bad. So then the doctor said, oh, of course, but can I ask you, how's your marriage? Is everything okay?
Like, it's awesome, man.
Yeah, well, that's exactly my response was. Well, I'm like, well, actually, my marriage is amazing. Thank you. And you can just see that, she had various questions, and I felt extremely uncomfortable. And
he's just not that guy that is, going to share stuff anyways.
So then, she orders the panels. I go get them. And in the notes, in all bold letters and caps, I strongly suggest that you get tested every 3 months and so on. I'm like, oh. So, looking back and even going forward, absolutely STDcheck.com, because just the
So you hadn't used that, right? You hadn't used that until then.
But from here on out, he will. See, and I've tried to tell, 2 doctors now. And the first one, you fill out this form, and in the last year since you were here, have you had any new partners? Check. Yes. Male? Yes. Check. Female? Yes. And so she's going through all the questions with me when I get in the office, and she just skips over that one. And I was like, I'm handing it to you. Ask me. Right. I'm going to tell someone today. I can't tell anyone else in my life, but I'm going to tell you. Nope. Raise right over it. Same thing when I went last in to get checked. Same thing. I said, "Can I have a full STD panel and do everything?" And she was like, "Yeah, no problem."
I mean, as far as reactions go, I think that's about as awesome as it can get, right? That she just doesn't even care.
Right.
That's better than when I asked the first time at my doctor, and he was like, something stupid. He was like, "Oh, having some extracurricular fun, are you?" And I was like, "Yeah, as a couple." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then I was like, well, what the fuck was that? So, I don't know.
It's so uncomfortable.
It really is.
How do you have that conversation with your other partners?
Oh, we're pretty upfront with it. We're happy and easy to, that's one of the, initial things I think you have to discuss is what your comfort level is. And we use condoms for sex. We do not use condoms for oral. I know some people do, and so that some people use other barriers, and that's fine. We haven't actually met anybody that's been one of their things, but everybody has their own level of comfort, and that's fine. But I think it's important to discuss. That sort of thing.
You go.
So you found it awkward to talk to your doctors, and obviously your story is definitely awkward and uncomfortable.
Only when it's nuns. They don't go on dates with nuns.
True, but have you found it uncomfortable talking to other couples about it? Or is it all just pretty natural?
The only uncomfortable conversation it wasn't even uncomfortable. It was just something that we were hesitant to bring up with our besties was, hey, since we're besties and we're doing it all the time, wouldn't it be fun if maybe we didn't use condoms? And so I was the one to bring it up. And they were like, oh, well, we just didn't think that you guys would be up for that, so we didn't want to say anything. And so we have become fluid bonded. Is that
I think that's the
right term?
Yeah.
With them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And with them, I trust them, obviously. We're pretty close, but, we share our test results and make sure we're really diligent about that. Mm-hmm. We each get tested every 6 months, but off by 3 months. So essentially, one of us is always getting tested every 3 months.
Yeah. I have as far as like vaginal health, I have a real sensitive cookie, so to speak. And so I've had to be super considerate of that. I think that's something that like is not talked about enough.
It is not.
Of how to do that and how to be in the LS, and you're having a lot of, when there's a lot of activity in the area.
Yeah. And there's a lot of maybe new bacteria and different things.
Yep. And I think that we tend to kind of like, we'll take care of ourselves when we have an issue, and then you just stop doing those practices. So if I could recommend anything, it would be to just continue to, do all the things you're supposed to do. Pee immediately after sex, right? If you are swapping between, like if you're swapping between your spouse and the other girl, like consider cleaning off in the middle. It's just, it's while it's fun and maybe that part seems less sexy, it's really hard for me to be out for a week and a half afterwards if I get a yeast infection or a UTI or something like that. So I can plug a product if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. And any other tips that you've got, because I think that's something that's
great thing. It's called Good Clean Love. It's pH balanced. It's a wash for your bits and pieces. And it just, because sometimes, putting soap and stuff down in that area kind of throws things all into a tizzy as well.
Yeah.
Maybe don't get in the sauna or hot tub. While the hot tubs are super sexy, they sometimes throw your...
You also take there's a couple pills you also take.
I do. Well. I take some stuff that helps with, all the good probiotics and prebiotics and all that stuff to just do everything you can. Because if that's, your parts that you need to do this fun lifestyle, you got to have them in good working order, because you don't want that to be the thing to...
I think playing, you said about pools and hot tubs, like playing in the water is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Bad.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't feel all that great, really, to be honest.
No, because water is not a lubricant.
It's really not. No.
Well, if you don't mind sending us some more of the things that any of the products you use, and we'll put them in the show notes so people can go there for
yes, because it's huge, definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, it's super fun. It's just good to take care of your important parts.
Yes.
Right.
Because, being out, like you said, after dealing with yeast infections, UTIs, A, very painful, B, just a pain in the ass. So
pain in the bag.
Yeah.
And it is.
It is.
And it makes me cranky. And then, we still want to have a very healthy sex life with each other after these events. And it kind of puts a wrench in that. And that's, so we'll have this great experience, and then I have a really shitty week following. And that tends to kind of put you on this sort of strange emotional, high then low. And that's not super fun for anybody involved either. So,
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
I think it's very important.
Carry your badge.
I had one follow-up on the testing, just purely out of curiosity. Like, if you were to talk to a couple and you say, hey, we get tested this and this and this, here's our results, and they don't have anything that they come back with, is that enough for the two of you to basically be a deal breaker and say, okay, well, we'll wait and find somebody who does?
Absolutely. Like,
yeah, I mean, if they don't know, I mean, that definitely is a red flag.
That's not a constant consideration in this.
I mean, obviously we use protection for penetration. And we spoke about the not using it for oral, which is obviously, it is a risk, and we realize that. So, I mean, there's some level of trust with everybody that they're actually testing, and if they're upfront about that, I mean, that is a red flag. But, we need to protect ourselves and be safe and feel comfortable. And at any time, if we meet somebody and we have that feeling of, okay, so something's up, something's missed, we pull the plug pretty quickly. I mean, I think the one thing that we struggle with at the beginning is letting people down. It's very hard for us, and basically just saying, this isn't working out. And back to Suzie's story from before of that couple where we waited too long. I mean, we've done a better job, and we need to continue to do a good job about, if something doesn't feel right, just pull out. It's not healthy for anybody, and it's better for the group.
Also, nice pun.
Thank you. I'm glad you caught that. Did you make it go? Teenager.
No, very well said. And
it's okay. Finn said doo-doo earlier and then laughed about it. So
I was going to edit that out, but I guess I'll leave it in now. Well, I think...
Wait.
No.
I have a quick plug. So next time, so you haven't used STD Check yet, but when you do, if you don't mind, call and leave us a little voicemail and tell us how it went, because that's how we're trying to spread the word about it, like how easy it is and how efficient it is to use.
And that goes for everybody.
Yes.
And I listened to your podcast of your experience with it, and I mean, it sounds amazing, and I absolutely will use it next time, because I don't need to run into that same situation where people are walking out of the doctor's office and, you know, the sweet old lady now is traumatized for life. Probably saying a couple Hail Marys for me.
She's probably a listener.
She's praying for you. That's kind of nice. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to plug that in there.
Perfect. So now it seems to me that the two of you have a lot of fun together.
We do.
So there has to be a blooper of some kind that has happened in the last 7 months.
A blooper? No.
That was before the LS that your thing with the kids found your toy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. My son came in with my little bullet, which is on a cord to the, you know, there's like a handheld part, and then there's a cord, and then there's a little bullet. And he came into the bathroom one morning. He's like, "Look, Mom, I'm massaging my back," and he had like the vibrating part on his back, and I was, of course, just traumatized. Really misplaced, like one of my dildos. We don't know where it is. It will be found by a kid, I'm sure,
or a dog.
Just one you have.
It's the lie. It is. It's terrible. God. I don't know. There hasn't been. I'm trying to think of like. I mean. I remember, well, during our first encounter with that couple, with our first couple ever, we were in this hotel room and we were kind of on this couch part. And I remember like I was kind of like getting repositioned, and I sat down and I kind of threw myself back on the couch and I whacked my head on the counter.
Ooh.
To the point where I saw stars, and we kind of had to stop for a few minutes for me to kind of catch my, you know, self and recenter. But we quickly recovered.
Yeah.
So no, we've been really lucky. I mean, we constantly say that to each other, that we've just been really lucky. We hear some of the stories that you guys have, your guests share, and how their first experience was really difficult. And I always think to myself, my God, they kept going after that, which is just amazing and wonderful, you know, that they kept trying even after, and then it worked out for them too, which is great. I'm glad that it worked out the way it did, because I worry that if it hadn't, one of us would have ran for the hills. And
we don't have any amazing stories like the podcast I just listened to the other day on your show, where the gentleman took off the condom and snapped on a tip of his.
Oh, guys.
Yeah.
We don't have that. And I still feel for that gentleman.
That's cringeworthy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cringeworthy.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we will. We're adventurous, clearly, if we're doing it in the forest. So
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time before you find the thorn bushes.
Or have someone walk up on you.
I was on a folding table once that we were sure was going to fall, but it didn't. Yeah. That would have been a good one had it actually fallen, but
Next time. You'll keep trying.
Next time. Perfect. Well,
trying to make a blooper, but don't actually hurt yourself.
Just right. We are sensible.
We're doing this for the show, guys. Well, is there anything we missed that you want to share? Maybe any resources, or just any final parting words for the?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, as far as podcast, we listen to a lot about podcasts, and by far, I mean, I'm not just saying this. Yours is number one by far.
Oh, yeah.
There's some ones that I listen to that are just kind of fun. Nerds That Swing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's Nerds Who Swing.
It is. Yep, Nerds Who Swing.
Bed Hoppers, which you've had on the show a couple times. You've seen them.
Mm-hmm.
I like to listen to them. We started out with That Couple Next Door and Swinger Diaries,
and We Got a Thing. We found one of the things that we do is one of us will find an episode and a chunk out of that episode and be like, ooh, you got to listen to this, you know, from this story, or I never thought of it. What it does, especially for those that are starting out, is it just brings up scenarios and questions that you're like, I never thought about what we would do. And that was in the beginning, especially for us, it was like, well, what would we do if that happened to us? And so it started this dialogue and conversation immediately that was super healthy and also kind of fun and sexy, because here I am, like I'm at the school volunteering with the kids in the office or something, and I've got like my earbud in and I'm listening to this very naughty podcast and all these stories about, you know, and it was a fun way to get the information and then bring it back to each other and share. We're good about like I'm typing notes in our phone and being like, hey, I wanted to ask you about this and what you think about this, because I'll always forget later what my question or what my, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Great. I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
We made it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All
Thank
right,
you.
bye.
Bye.
Okay, we're back. I'm going to talk for a second because Finn talked the whole intro.
And interview.
And interview, yes. You can't help it, can you? Suzie and Jay were awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I hope everyone that listened to this episode really got something out of it. Did you have anything else to add to that before I move on?
No, they're cool people.
2 resources we wanted to mention quickly, since we did talk about STD testing in the interview. There are 2 resources on our website, stdcheck.com and also freestdcheck.org, if I can get that correct.
This is why I talk.
Yeah, you don't ever mess up. stdcheck.com, you can get $10 off your testing panel, and it's an awesome resource. It also supports the show when you use the link on our homepage or on our resources page.
And we use it.
We also use it too. It works great. If you're in an area that happens to serve or has the free stdcheck.org in your area, go check that out as well. You can get free STD testing. I think that's it for that announcement. I'm waiting. Okay. I think that's it. Next week, we have an interview with Co, right?
Correct. Correct.
Oh my gosh.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and Co comes on the show next week to tell their story about growing up in a polyamorous family.
Yeah, they're a second generation, or I don't know. They get into it a little bit. It's complicated. You will definitely find it fascinating, and it's a fantastic interview. So
yes.
Come back in a week for that. I promise no more doo-doo jokes.
I don't know if I guess next week, yeah, no more.
And one quick thing I wanted to mention, that Jay talked about a blooper from a while back about a condom snapping back and the trauma that ensued. If you want to hear all about that,
which sounds
it's a lovely story. It's in episode 63 with Sex Uninterrupted. So go check that out after you're done with us rambling.
Okay, I think we're done now.
Are you done talking yet?
Yeah. Okay, bye everyone. See you next week.